Right guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one I'm just going to be showing you how to fit your Sram Force eTap AXS 12 speed rear derailleur to your bike. So let's go ahead, let's run through the steps. So you have the derailleur, the Force AXS 12 speed. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you've got a fully charged battery installed on the derailleur, and it is actually fully charged, so you check that. I'll just run through the adjustment screws while we've got it in the hand so you can see them more easily off the bike. So we've got the high screw there and then the low screw down there, 2.5mm hex head. Same for the B screw at the back there, in there. And then you've got the mounting bolt to your hanger is a 5mm hex head for that. And obviously when you're putting it on, make sure that the tab here is actually touching on your derailleur hanger, otherwise you won't be able to adjust the B screw properly if it's not touching. So when you're doing the bolt up, make sure it's touching, and also make sure that the derailleur has been paired with your shifters as well. So if you want to know how to pair the components, then I'll just put a link on the screen so you can see that. So let's go ahead, let's get this fitted. So first thing I'll do is just put a bit of anti-seize on the thread there of the hanger before we go ahead and screw it in. And like I said, when you screw it in using your 5mm, just make sure that the lug is touching on there, otherwise you won't be able to make the adjustments. So just a case of screwing it in, and as you're screwing it in, just keep an eye on that lug at the back. So you can just push it down with your hand so it's actually contacting the hanger, and then carry on screwing it in. And as you tighten it by hand, just make sure that it doesn't move away from the hanger. So once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and just torque that up. That's like 6 Newton meters is adequate for that. So that's the derailleur installed on there. Let's go ahead, let's get the wheel in with the cassette on it so we can set it up. Right, as you can see, we got the wheel in with the cassette now. So remember that the cassettes use an XDR freer body to be able to fit them. So we're ready now to go ahead and make some adjustments to the derailleur. Right, so we've got the derailleur mounted on there now. As you can see, it's set down to the 10 tooth sprocket at the back. So to make sure it's over enough, what you've got to do is make sure that your derailleur at the front, if you've got it fitted, is shifted over to the largest chainring. Otherwise the derailleur at the back, the rear derailleur, won't go down to the last 2 cogs sprockets there at the back, and you'll wonder why you've only got 10 gears instead of 12. So you've got to make sure that your front derailleur is shifted over if you want it to go down to the lowest 2 sprockets at the back. So what you want to do is just check that the top guide wheel there is in line with the smallest, the 10 tooth at the back. And then if it is in line, just make sure that you've got your 2mm hex head there at the top. Just make sure that when you just look at the side here, is making contact, just making contact with the stop just inside there. So what you've got to do is, you might have to screw it in a little bit, you might not, depends. Just screw it in so it's just making contact with it. And then what you can do is shift back over the cassette, like so. So shift back over, and then you want to make sure that it's when you shift it across that you're in the second from the largest, not the largest cog, the second one in. So once you've got it positioned there, we can make sure that that is in line with the second one in from the top. So I'll just reset the camera so you can see it better. Right, so once you've got the derailleur in position under the second largest cog, what you're looking for is to get it in line with the top guide wheel there. You don't have to worry about the largest one at the minute because we haven't got the chain on, so you might shift across and think, well, why is the derailleur cage touching the spokes? So you don't have to worry about that for a moment because we haven't got the chain on to pull it back across away from the spokes. So that's why you do it with the second one in without the chain on. So to get that in line, I'll show you using the shifters how you line that up. Right, so with your shifters, this is the left hand one. You see there, it's got a minus symbol on it. The right hand one will have a plus on it, just there. So what you need to do to move that, the derailleur cage over left or right, so as it's dead underneath that second sprocket in, what you have to do is, with the button there, you have to push and hold that button, and at the same time just move this paddle. So you just push and hold that, and then you just move the paddle and the green light comes on. And then if you look very closely while you're doing that at the derailleur, and you have to look really hard because it moves in really small increments, the minus one, so the left hand shifter, moves the derailleur cage towards the spokes, and the plus, the right hand one, moves the derailleur cage or the top jockey wheel, the guide wheel, towards the smallest, so away towards the 10 tooth, so left and right. So this one moves it right, this one moves it left, but you have to look really hard while you're holding that and doing it at the same time. You can have the shifters off the bike like this and do it to set it up, or you can have them on the handlebars, doesn't matter. But when you press and hold that and move the paddle, you've got to look because it hardly moves to the naked eye. So that's how you move that, so you get it dead underneath that second sprocket in. Right, so once you're happy with that, you can shift your derailleur over to your 33 or your 28, whatever you've got on the back. And then once you've done that, what you want to do is look round the side of the derailleur, and if you see the low screw here, which is the lowest one there, isn't making contact in there, see that? So what you want to do is just wind that in, like that, just so it just touches it. And then once it's just touching, you can just eye up the back there, get right behind it and have a look to make sure that it is directly under the largest at the back, just for a moment. You can check it again later, but that's just to set it there to close that gap with the screw. And then what we do now is we just get the chain on. Well, so now we've got the chain in position. See, these are Sram chains, a flat top chain with a power lock. So when you fit the power lock, make sure that the arrow, when it's on the top here, the arrow's pointing forward towards the front chain rings, and then when it's on the bottom here, the arrow should be going back towards the derailleur, so you know you fitted it correctly. So what I'll do now is just shift up and see if we're anywhere near and we need to make any slight micro adjustments using the shifters again. There we have it. As you can see, it goes all the way to the top. So what we'll do now, we'll just come back down the gears and make sure, so we're on the largest chainring at the front, and see if any of them are getting slightly hung up or they're misaligned in any way. So we just check that. You can hear that one is skipping there, as you can see. So it's the fifth one down, just needs a little bit of adjustment. It's just not quite in line. So that'll be a case of, again, using your shifters, holding the button down like I showed earlier, and then moving it micro adjustment until you just smooth that out. It could be left or it could be right, so it depends, but that's all that'll be. So I'll just go ahead and try and smooth that out. Right, so just to iron out that slight skipping on that one particular gear, all it took was, all you do, like I said, is just push and hold the button and then shift, and it micro adjusts it. So it took about 4 micro adjustments just to iron that out. So now it smooths it out like so. So what we'll do now is I'll just shift all the way up. We're on the inner chainring, I'll just shift up to the 33 at the back. And then what we'll do is we'll just do the adjustment for the B adjustment there with the gauge. Right, so to adjust the gap there between the chain and the guide wheel and the largest sprocket on the back, whatever you've got on your cassette, you've got a gauge like so, and as you can see on there it says 26, 28, 33. So that corresponds with the largest sprocket on the cassette. So what you want to do with that is just put it behind there like so, just sits in place on the guide wheel, and then you can see, or you'll be able to see, I'll zoom in a bit, you can see that or not, you see the line there. You just adjust the camera there, you can see the line. So that bottom line there, so that corresponds with the 33 tooth cassette. So as you can see, that line there needs to be in line with the bottom of the tooth. So at the minute it's not quite set correctly. So what you want to do is locate your adjustment screw, which is the one behind the battery. So if you get onto that, then what we need to do is turn that clockwise. I'll zoom in again. So as I'm turning it clockwise, it's pushing on the hanger, and it'll be moving the gap, just be altering that gap there. Just need it so it's in line. Just take a few turns to get it set, as you can see there, like so. So that's the B screw adjustment set with using the tool. Right, so once you've done the B screw, what you want to do is just check, we'll see in your largest at the back there, and then shift down to the smallest, and just check the screws are still making contact there. All they've got to do is touch. As you can see, we're on the largest there, and the screw is still making contact there, just touching. And then what you want to do is shift all the way down to the 10 and make sure this is still making contact. When it comes round and just touches the screw, just make sure it's just touching it, and make sure those settings haven't altered at all. Right, so there's the install all complete and set up. Right, so I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Till next one, ride safe, and I'll see you then.